Political pressure grows over Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. As searches continue at his former home for a fourth day, the government says nothing's off the table amid calls for a judge-led inquiry and even a fresh look at treason laws.
We've been clear as a government that no options are off the table for what happens next.
Also tonight, an armed man is shot dead after trying to get into Donald Trump's Florida estate. And the stars come out for the biggest night in British film.
This is ITV News with Yasmin Bodalbhai.
Good evening. Andrew Mountbatten Windsor may have been released under investigation, but the clamour around his links to Jeffrey Epstein are only getting louder. As searches of his former home in Windsor continued, one former security minister called for Parliament to look at treason laws. The government today says it is not ruling anything out, including the possibility of a judge-led inquiry into the former prince's time as a trade envoy. He has always denied any wrongdoing. Our political correspondent Harry Horton looks at what could come next.
For the fourth straight day, unmarked police cars entered properties linked to Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. This morning, it was Thames Valley Police at Royal Lodge in Windsor, the former prince's former home. But as the police investigation continues, there are calls from some politicians for a separate parliamentary inquiry into Andrew's links with the convicted paedophile Jeffrey Epstein.
How are you? Nice to see you. Are you well?
The police are looking into allegations of misconduct in public office. They relate to Andrew's role as a trade envoy, which he held for 10 years until 2011. Next week, MPs on the Business and Trade Select Committee will look at whether the trade envoy role should be rethought. Senior government ministers were ruling nothing out this morning.
We saw from His Majesty the King that he recognises the police have an important role to play now and fully supports their investigation. It's right that now takes its course. When that's concluded, we've been clear as a government that no options are off the table for what happens next. But given that there's a live police investigation, it's right that the police are allowed to do their work.
When the police investigation has concluded, the government says it will consider using legislation to remove Andrew Mountbatten Windsor from the royal line of succession. Tonight, William and Kate were at the BAFTAs, getting on with their work as the police continue theirs.
And Harry, Andrew's arrest happened while Parliament was in recess, but all the MPs are back tomorrow.
Yeah, and they will have questions that they want to see answered. And as this police investigation continues, more evidence is emerging from the millions of documents related to Jeffrey Epstein released by the US Department of Justice. There are emails today we've seen suggesting that police officers were instructed to provide protection at Jeffrey Epstein's home when Andrew Mountbatten Windsor was in attendance back in 2010. Look, I think the government and MPs are both keen to be seen to be on the front foot on this issue, especially given the public feeling around this. In terms of legislation and really big steps Parliament might take in relation to Andrew, those I suspect will come after the police investigation, and at this stage it looks like there could still be some way to go in that.
OK, Harry, for now, thank you. Dramatic developments in the US today. A man has been shot dead trying to enter President Trump's Mar-a-Lago resort in Florida. Sam Holder is here, and Sam, you've been following this. What can you tell us?
Well, that's right. This happened at 1:30 in the morning local time. A man entered the inner perimeter of Mar-a-Lago armed with a shotgun. Now, Mar-a-Lago in Florida is where Donald Trump normally spends his weekends, but both he and the First Lady were in Washington, D.C. at the time. The man, who's described as white and in his 20s, drove through the north gate of the resort by following a different vehicle that was exiting, but once inside, he was confronted by Secret Service agents.
A deputy and 2 Secret Service agents on the detail went to that area to investigate. They confronted a white male that was carrying a gas can and a shotgun. He was ordered to drop those 2 pieces of equipment that he had with him, at which time he put down the gas can, raised the shotgun to a shooting position. At that point in time, the deputy and the two Secret Service agents fired their weapons and neutralized the threat. He is deceased at the scene.
Well, that man has now been named as Austin Tucker Martin, a 21-year-old from North Carolina who was reported missing by his family a few days ago. Investigators believe currently that neither the police nor the Secret Service had any knowledge of him beforehand, and they're currently building up a psychological profile of him because, as of yet, there is no motive that they've been able to establish for why he entered Mar-a-Lago with a shotgun. Also, somewhat surprisingly, we've yet to hear at all from Donald Trump about this, even though he has been posting on his Truth social network about the Olympics.
OK, Sam, thank you. Next, what can be done to improve our education system? Tomorrow, the Education Secretary, Bridget Phillipson, will set out her plans to reform it. She hopes they'll add up and halve the so-called disadvantage gap. In England alone, there are now 1.7 million school kids with special educational needs. Their parents and carers are fighting for additional help. Overhauling the whole system, though, that could take 10 years to sort out. Here's Sabah Chowdhury.
Today, Nellie turns 5, the age most kids start school. But unlike her peers, Nellie has Turner's syndrome, a condition affecting her growth, development and speech. Mum Gabby says getting her own tailored education healthcare plan has been a brutal uphill battle with the local authorities.
It's mountains and mountains of paperwork and evidence and gathering, reports from your GP, your community paediatrician, speech and language therapist, your occupational therapist, and it's like a court case. The more evidence you have, the more likely you are to get what you want.
Nellie's story is far from unique. In the past decade, the number of children with complex needs has skyrocketed. In 2016, over 236,000 children in England had tailored EHCP support plans. Last year, that number more than doubled to almost 500,000. And now, 1 in 5 young people, around 1.7 million children, have SEND, special educational needs and disabilities. But with rising cases come rising costs. And so tomorrow the government's introducing a £4 billion package to what it calls a one-size-fits-all system. One it says won't take away from current support, but will substantially add to it.
So we're going to be spending more, we're going to invest up front. This is a once-in-a-generation opportunity to deliver better life chances for children, many of whom have been let down over previous years, sidelined, not getting the outcomes that they deserve.
But parents are concerned. Earlier this week, leaked government plans suggested support plans may be reviewed as children move between primary to secondary school.
The Education Secretary refused 3 times to rule out support being withdrawn. This is simply not acceptable. This continuing uncertainty is intolerable for them, and we will oppose it.
But for Gabby, the devil is in the detail. And while Nellie may have secured a place at a specialist school, her mum is concerned that tomorrow's reforms could leave other children behind. Sabah Chowdhury, ITV News in Hertfordshire.
3 people have died in a multi-car collision in Moy in Northern Ireland. Emergency services were called to the scene last night, with 2 men and a woman pronounced dead and 4 others injured. Tributes have been paid to 2 men who died after being reported missing on Ir Widfa, also known as Mount Snowdon. They've been named locally as 20-year-old Eddie Hill and 19-year-old Jaden Long, both from Norfolk. Their bodies were found on Thursday. And a committee of MPs says local political pressure may have played a part in the decision to ban Maccabi Tel Aviv football fans from attending a match against Aston Villa last November. The Home Affairs Committee also pointed to the West Midlands Police Force's reliance on inaccurate evidence generated by AI. Football now, and the North London derby always has much at stake for Spurs and Arsenal fans. This afternoon's clash was even more heightened than normal. Arsenal needing a win to get their title chase back on track after dropping 2 points in their last 2 games. Spurs had Igor Tudor, their new manager, in the dugout, hoping he could stem their slide towards the relegation places. Chris Scudder was watching all the action.
What a day for new Spurs boss Igor Tudor to make his debut. But don't be fooled by the smile. Silenced very quickly, just 24 seconds later. Arsenal's title wobbles were showing again. But just when their nerves needed settling, Gyökeres, what a hit! 2-1 to Arsenal, and Spurs' hopes of equalising for a second time were dashed when Muani's goal was disallowed for a push on Gabriel.
Team GB has won its fifth and final medal at the Winter Olympics. English Football League history was made today, with a club being relegated in February. The unwanted record belongs to Sheffield Wednesday, and to make it worse, it came off the back of a 2-1 defeat at City rivals Sheffield United. Wednesday's cause was made a lot harder earlier this season when they were deducted 18 points for slipping into administration. And England beat Sri Lanka to kick off the Super 8s phase at the T20 World Cup in style, beating the hosts by 51 runs. England need just one win from their next two games to make it to the semi-finals. And finally, it is the biggest night in British film, with the BAFTAs getting underway. With 14 nominations, it could be one award after another for Paul Thomas Anderson's strong favourite, One Battle After Another. But there are other contenders too, including Sinners and British period drama Hamlet. It could even be a record-breaking one. Our arts editor, Nina Nanar, is on the red carpet.
It is the British Academy Awards, but this year with a distinctly international flavour. Stars have flown in from around the world for the BAFTA red carpet. US blockbusters lead the field. British hopes are pinned on Hamlet, which is already a record breaker. No other female-directed film has ever had as many BAFTA nominations. And there is some recognition for British acting talent. It feels like you've been on this whistle-stop tour of award ceremonies. I mean, it is a crazy season, isn't it?
It is crazy. I didn't know how many award ceremonies there were, honestly. So it's been like since back in November. It feels really good to be on like home soil, seeing my colleagues and my friends and people I really look up to, and just being a part of our British industry. It feels really good.
Now you're up for a Best Actor BAFTA.
Yeah. I mean, unbelievable. I feel really lucky to be on there and also to be British and here at the BAFTAs. It's a lovely, amazing thing.
It's an incredible story in the first place, and it's something that we feel we own very particularly here in this country. I mean, Shakespeare belongs to everybody, but is also ours.
The film with the most BAFTA wins ever was Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, and that was way back in 1971. But tonight, there are 4 films that could break that record.
And there'll be more from Nina at the BAFTAs on our late news at 10 o'clock, but you can stay on top of all the winners on our website and, of course, on ITVX. But that's all from us for now. Enjoy your evening. Bye-bye.